Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 4th Annual Teacher Appreciation Night here at Cuesta College. At this time, At this time, I would like to introduce my fellow officers. My name is Chris. I'm the president of AGS, and our vice president here for the San Luis Obispo campus, Emily Granger. Our vice president for the North County campus, her sister, Natalie Granger. Our secretary and ASCC vice president, Dan Cadwell. Our historian, Carly Boyd. And lastly, our treasurer, Zach Harris, who unfortunately is unable to be with us here tonight. Again, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, welcome to the Alpha Gamma Sigma 4th Annual Teacher Appreciation Night. For those of you who are not familiar with our organization, Alpha Gamma Sigma is the academic honor society and service organization here at the California Community Colleges at Cuesta College, that is. Members of AGS must maintain a GPA of 3.0 or better, and members in the Gamma Gamma chapter here at Cuesta College must perform a minimum of 20 hours of community service per semester. Tonight's honorees were nominated by AGS members and were selected by the AGS student officers. It's my privilege to introduce this event, the purpose of which is to celebrate teaching excellence and to honor those particular professors who have distinguished themselves and earned the approval and admiration of what must be considered one of the most critical bodies to be found anywhere, the student body. It is a sad yet altogether undeniable fact that it is a far more common thing to hear students complaining about their teachers rather than to hear them singing their praises, especially when you consider that finals are right around the corner. That being said, all the more serves to highlight just how auspicious an occasion this is. As I mentioned, the purpose of this evening is to honor those teachers who have had a profound impact in the lives of their students by going above and beyond the call of duty, which is, as it turns out, no small task. Just to become a teacher here at Cuesta College involves a great deal of hard work, as most of the teaching faculty here have, at the very least, a master's degree in their chosen field, and many have earned doctorates as well. There are not very many professions where advanced degrees are necessary just to have a shot at doing the job, much less doing it well. Each of these degrees represents several years of hard work and intense research on the part of the recipient, which is commendable in and of itself. But then, after demonstrating the requisite aptitudes and capabilities necessary for teaching, and after learning about their chosen field in fantastic detail, that's when things start to get difficult. Because now they actually have to go and communicate all that information to a classroom full of students. Now, I'm willing to bet that being a teacher would be a whole lot easier if it just weren't for the students. Undoubtedly, one of the greatest difficulties facing a teacher is engaging a classroom full of students who very often would rather be doing something other than sitting in a classroom. Cuesta teachers in particular have it harder than many insofar as Cuesta College is only minutes away from some prime surf venues, as well as a host of other fun distractions. So keeping the attention of a student audience is hard enough as it is. But in addition to this, yet another hurdle that many professors must overcome is a negative perception of teachers in general that, unfortunately, some students harbor. Far too many students, for one reason or another, tend to view their professors as adversaries rather than allies. Instead of regarding their teacher as one who is committed to their growth and success as a student, many see their teachers as something akin to a dungeon master who holds all the good grades that would let them move on just out of their reach. I can confess to having suffered under this delusion in the past myself, and it was only when I was able to see that grades simply represent proficiency in a given subject that I was able to understand why even bad grades are they're useful, because they're like road signs. They let us know where we are in relation to where we need to be going. It is because of good teachers that I finally figured that one out. So under these exceedingly challenging circumstances and more, is it any wonder that many teachers would feel that they've done enough? For crying out loud, the bare minimum for a teacher is a lot more than what overachieving is in many fields. And this highlights just how rare and wonderful it is to find teachers who are unwilling to aim at doing just enough. This, then, is what distinguishes a great teacher from the rest. Not that they've invested their minds and their time, but that they've invested their hearts as well. Great teachers care about their students, not just as students, but as people, future scholars and professionals who will one day take up the batons of leadership and responsibility in their chosen academic and vocational careers. And so tonight, we honor those who have taught well, and in so doing, inspired those of us who will go on to do great things. As members of Alpha Gamma Sigma, the Honor Society here at Cuesta, it is not an exaggeration in the least to say that we, the students, would not have achieved the academic success that we have were it not for the dedicated efforts of these professors. You have honored us with your commitment to excellence, and so we would like to honor you in return with our sincerest gratitude. Our successes are in part yours as well, and so we say, thank you. And before presenting the awards tonight, we've invited the Superintendent President of Cuesta College, Dr. Gil Stork, to say a few words, and he has graciously accepted our invitation. So, if you please, a warm welcome for Dr. Gil Stork.
For a minute, I thought I was at a speech final.
Yeah.
That was wonderful, Chris. We're going to see him on stage and screen, I think. Well, let me just say this. I'm not going to take a lot of time, but I think the time I'm going to take is to really reflect on the passion I have for teaching and learning. This is my 51st year in education. And I can't believe it's been that long, because it doesn't seem it's been that long, because it's something I truly feel is a gift that I was given to be able to have the opportunity to influence the lives of thousands of people. I didn't know that at the time when I started. I became a teacher because I love mathematics and because I wanted to coach football. So I said, how can I blend those two things together? Well, it was I could be a teacher. I could be a teacher at a high school where I could teach and coach. And so that was my lifelong dream. And when I started teaching, I had a very narrow perception of what teaching was all about, because when I started teaching, it was right at the time when the new math, which is now the old math, was coming into play, and I had just come out of graduate school, and when I went to work at San Luis High School, none of the veteran teachers wanted to touch it. So the newbie on the block got to do that. Well, what came along with that was I got all the top-end kids. All the kids that no matter if I was in the classroom or not, they were going to be successful. So I had this very, very warped sense of what my role was in terms of helping those students who really needed help and who really needed to know how to learn. And it wasn't until I came here to Cuesta College in 1967 as a football coach and had to teach my first Math 7 class, which is a pre-algebra, that I found out that most of society doesn't love math. And that's the last place they want to be. And hence I began to learn how to be a teacher. And at a community college, you know, we're a come-as-you-are institution, so we accept people no matter where they are in life, no matter how old they are, no matter what life circumstances they're dealing with, and we help them be successful. That became the new challenge, and that became the new passion. But it doesn't work for everybody. While I was a teacher in mathematics, I worked with a wonderful teacher, one of the best teachers I ever worked with, who was a master teacher. But he couldn't figure out whether or not he was making a difference, because it's almost an act of faith many times, because sometimes the impact that we have on students, we don't know, because they don't know until maybe 2 years later, 5 years later, or a decade or two later, when they suddenly realize what they learned in that English 201A class. Now I understand what Ed Conklin was telling me. That's when it happens. But this particular teacher needed something more graphic than that. And so he left teaching to become a very successful author of textbooks, because that was tangible. I write this, I give it to a publisher, they give me a big check. And that fulfilled his sense of worth. So being a teacher, you have to be willing to be able to impart not only your knowledge, but also your gift of teaching students how to learn. And then someday, get that feedback from a student who takes the time to drop you a note or come by the campus and say, remember me? I was in your class 20 years ago, and you really made a difference in my life. We don't need many of those, but we need them. And what you're doing tonight here, Alpha Gamma Sigma, is so very important. It's so very important to these 10 of over 300 teachers that we have here at Cuesta College. And if more students could reach out and drop that note or come by an office and pass on your experience, or when you're back in town someday after you've started your career someplace, if you leave the area, and come back and say thank you, that would be huge to these faculty members. So, thank you for investing your time and your energy to reach out and go through this process of identifying faculty that for you have made a difference in your learning experience here at Cuesta College. And I've looked at the list of 10 people and couldn't pick a better 10. But there are more than 10 out there. And you know some other teachers that deserve to be on this list. So, I just want to say thank you for the 4th annual, and I'll be here for the 40th annual and the 50th annual, because I don't want students at Cuesta College to forget about the benefit that they get from good teaching. And it's my privilege to be able to hire the final full-time tenure-track faculty. And I take a great deal of pride in that. And some of them are sitting in this room that I had the opportunity to do that with. And because I know the importance that that role is going to make in your lives as students. So thanks for being here tonight. And I also want to thank Dr. Gilbert for the time that he's invested as the advisor to Alpha Gamma Sigma, and really championing this particular program. Thank you, Dr. Gilbert. All right, thank you.
I would like to start off by saying that our list of honorees is in alphabetical order this evening, but this professor has to leave early for his night class. So I would like to ask Professor Ray Reed to join me on stage. Professor Reed teaches in Cuesta College Engineering Department and has done so for 16 years. In answer to the question, what has this instructor done that you consider above and beyond normal expectations, an AGS member wrote, "He was my intro to engineering professor this semester, and he is retired from a career in engineering right now. He teaches part-time, mostly for fun, and I respect him for that. I found his dry sense of humor hilarious and endearing during his lectures. He is one of the very few straight talkers I've ever met, and I respect how honest he was when he would talk about the work he had to do in order to complete his BS in engineering. I love that even though Mr. Reed has a different career that could fully support him, he chooses to teach because he has a strong passion for it, and that never goes unnoticed in the classroom. Please join me on congratulating Professor Reed on his instructional excellence.
Well, I guess I have to try to be humorous now. If I'm good at this, which this suggests, and thank you very much, I really appreciate it. The reason is because I have a direct connection to community colleges in general. 45 years ago, which goes by fast, okay, I got out of the service and started at a community college, and I was nervous. I was very scared. I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to do it. I was a very poor high school student, but I was a good serviceman at least. So I started off, and 2.5 years later, after working at least 8 hours every day and going to classes at night, I was able to transfer to a 4-year school and go on from there. But everything that came after that was derived from those years at community college. And I'd have to say that I'm sure most community colleges are like this, but in that particular case, I cannot say that I had a poor teacher. I didn't encounter that until I got to a 4-year school, so sorry to say. But that's why when I meet the students at Cuesta, and I have to say that these people are excellent individuals, and they get a lot of criticism, for being spoiled and such like that, although they are addicted to smartphones, that's for sure. But the funny thing is that a lot of the criticism comes from my generation, the hippie generation, which evidently has amnesia because they don't remember what they were like. But the students at Cuesta are why I love being here. I mean, they're just great. They're fun to be around, and they have great attitudes. They work really hard. And it's just admirable, and it's really a gift to be able to teach here at Cuesta. So thank you very much for this award.
I would like to ask Professor Arno to come on stage with me. Either side's fine. Professor Arno is a teacher at Cuesta College Broadcasting Department and has taught here at Cuesta College for 7 years. And the answer to the question, what has this instructor done that is above and beyond normal, an AGS member wrote, Professor Arno not only teaches 4 broadcast production courses at Cuesta, but he is co-producer at Cal Poly Spanio Stadium broadcast in the fall and spring, as well as leads Cuesta's broadcast and Cuesta Sports Monthly. Not to mention, he teaches a group of kids from Grizzly Academy on Saturdays. And the answer to the question, in what way has this instructor influenced your success as a student at Cuesta College, an AGS member wrote, I wouldn't be where I am today without the help of Don Arno. From the first class that I had him in 2012, I knew I was in for a treat. Not only is John an awesome professor, he's extremely knowledgeable and passionate in his profession. It is because of teachers like John Arno that I myself have been inspired to become a teacher someday. He has influenced me to become consistent not only inside the classroom, but in life as well. I believe he deserves a great deal of recognition. Please join me in congratulating John Arno in his instructional excellence.
Cuesta College is probably the most success-oriented, no, I won't say probably, is the most success-oriented school I've been associated with. I've taught at university, I've taught in LA, I've taught in Riverside, I've taught in Europe, and I have more success stories from Cuesta. And I've only been here 7 years than in all of my other teaching. And I thought I'd say that just before I was going to say that teaching at Cuesta College is also like a Buddhist proverb. There's a Buddhist proverb, I think it's attributed to a Buddhist proverb, it's either that or an episode of King of the Hill, where a man is being chased by a man-eating tiger, and he jumps off a cliff to escape the tiger. He grabs a branch, and then below he looks down, and there's another man-eating tiger. He looks up, and there's the same man-eating tiger. He knows that day he's going to die. But on that branch is a strawberry is growing. So he picks the strawberry, and he eats it. And it's the best strawberry he ever tasted. Every semester, you can't believe how many strawberries I meet here at Cuesta College. And this is a pretty good strawberry, too. Thanks.
I would like to ask Professor Conklin to join me up on the stage. Professor Conklin teaches in the Cuesta College English Department and has been teaching at Cuesta for 25 years. In the answer to the question, what has this instructor done to go above and beyond normal expectations, an AGS member wrote, Mr. Conklin's passion and dedication to what he was teaching made everything come so naturally to me, as well as a majority of the students in the class. The class discussion flowed very effortlessly, and there was never an uninteresting topic to be discussed. When people ask me about English 201B, Edward is the first person who comes to mind as for picking the right teacher for that class. In answer to the question, in what has this instructor influenced your success as a student at Cuesta College, an AGS member wrote, because of his guidance and inspiration, I was also able to make the decision that I wanted to declare English as my major and go on to become an English teacher. Please join me in congratulating Professor Conklin on his instructional excellence.
Everybody knows that you don't get into teaching for the awards, but this is nice. It's especially nice when you're being recognized by some of your favorite students, former and current students. These are people who truly inspire me on a daily basis. They make my life what it is here at Cuesta, and so I thank them so much for that. I want you to know that you're among the best and the brightest, and I foresee nothing but a great deal of success for all of you, and thank you so much.
I would like to ask Professor Bill Demarest to please join me on the stage. Professor Demarest has been teaching in the mathematics department for 3 years. In answer to the question, what has this instructor done that is above and beyond normal expectations? An AGS member wrote, after Calc 2, I felt pretty demoralized and my fondness for math was waning. Mr. Demarest was able to present the subject in terms related to the material we had already learned in previous math classes, so he made us feel pretty smart when we knew how to make most of the calculations. He was always available to answer any questions and even made himself available in the math lab for tutoring. He did a really good job of identifying the tricky parts of the subject and allowing time to focus more intently on those parts so we wouldn't get bogged down when it came test time. The caliber of math teachers here at Cuesta is already set pretty high, and Mr. Demarest is definitely one of the best of the best. In answer to the question, in what way has this instructor influenced your success as a student at Cuesta College, this same AGS member wrote, his enthusiasm for the subject always encouraged us to try our hardest so we wouldn't disappoint him, and it also helped us attain a much better understanding of the subject. After taking his Math 283 class, I felt I could reevaluate the colleges I wanted to apply to and actually broaden my choices. His class allows you to make connections between many other subjects, from trigonometry to physics. And since you have to call on many other disciplines in order to succeed in his class, After completing the course, I had the tools I needed to help others as a tutor. So he's allowed me to give back some of the knowledge that I was given. Please join me in congratulating Professor Demarest on his instructional excellence.
I get two. Yeah. Oh, I'm special. Gosh, it's really impressive. Well, thank you, Chris. Thank you for that introduction. Well, gosh, I was thinking, when I was a student here at Cuesta College, a few years ago maybe, I had a couple instructors who were really, really inspirational to me. I see Dick Hitchman out here as one. And so it's just really a big honor for me to accept this recognition as a faculty member. We really do pour our lives into our craft, and to be recognized for it is something that just goes above and beyond and makes it worth it. It makes it all worth it. And so, my students, I ask a lot from my students. I ask a whole lot, particularly from my Calculus 3 students, and I wish Zach were here tonight because he would testify to that as well. So I want to thank them, because as instructors, we're only as good as the work that our students put in. And we set that bar pretty high, and they often answer the call and go above and beyond, and I know Zach did as well. And so I want to thank our students for the work that they put in that makes me look good, it makes me successful. And I have no doubt that these students will accomplish great things, and I look forward to seeing what they accomplish. And again, I just want to say thank you so much for this recognition. Thank you.
Our next honoree is James Eichmeyer. He cannot be with us tonight, so I'd like to ask Brett Clark to the stage, who will be accepting on his behalf. Professor Eichmeyer teaches in the Cuesta College Physics Department and has taught here at Cuesta for 16 years. In the answer to the question, what has this instructor done that is above and beyond normal expectations, an AGS member wrote, "This guy makes physics interesting." From his comedic yet essential free body diagrams to his somewhat zany in-class demonstrations, Dr. Eichmeyer's physics classes have been the most interesting classes that I've ever had here. What helped out the most was taking his classes concurrently with calculus. He teaches you the calculus before you even learn it in your calculus class. So he's really teaching 4 subjects at once. His classes are the foundation of all engineering because he gave me some solid foundation for the most challenging subjects after physics now. Doesn't seem bad. Please join me in congratulating Professor Eichmeyer, who can't be here tonight. This is perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Jim couldn't be here tonight, and so he asked me to accept this award on his behalf. He usually stuffs the cape behind his shirt, and tonight he's saving somebody's life. What Jim asked me to speak to tonight is his joy of teaching. In particular, teaching physics. He finds it a particular challenge because of the nature of the subject, trying to make it clear and understandable. It makes it every day a new day for him. And he likes teaching techniques that generate curiosity by challenging each student's sense of what's real. Recently, Jim has traveled abroad, and he took Cuesta College students to Australia to study global climate change, and he also accompanied students to Switzerland this last summer to go to the Large Hadron Collider at CERN. Seeing the reactions of the students to these global experiences has energized him, and he looks forward to many, many future years teaching here at Cuesta. So thank you again.
I'd like to ask Dr. Anthony Gutierrez to come up to the stage. To the question, what has this instructor done that you consider above and beyond normal expectations? An AGS member wrote, well, I wrote. Dr. Gutierrez has since taken over student life and leadership, created a program that genuinely has the students' interests at heart. He has a special way about him that makes him successful in taking new young students and helping them develop in leadership and social skills, giving them the confidence to find themselves in the several different areas that are needed to become a healthy and productive human being in today's ever-expanding and changing society. Dr. Gutierrez continues to promote that our student leaders attend the conferences that are associated with being a good student leader as well as a leader in life. Himself going as a chaperone to the different events and making the trip safe, interesting, and fun, and an all-around great learning experience. Dr. Gutierrez invests some of himself in his students, taking the time to advise and guide them, but not steer them. In me, what he's done for me is, he's a great effect on my life. I've decided to become a teacher because Dr. Gutierrez and a couple other of you that I've met here, this is a awesome, just the administration, everything here is awesome. And it just shows with the teachers and what you guys do and how well you teach. But I'd like you all to join me in celebrating Dr. Gutierrez and his excellence in teaching.
It's truly an honor to receive an award from students. This is something that I look forward to in terms of celebrating students and celebrating all of you as faculty. One of the reasons I'm here is because as a student, faculty, staff, and administrators saw something in me that I may not have seen myself at the time. And so I really appreciate all of you as faculty and staff that are here to take the time out to recognize our students as well. My children are here tonight, and I felt that they should be here because of the students that are here tonight. In that, what inspires me is I know they're going to have a positive impact on their lives, either as teachers, as doctors, as whatever field they choose. My kids will be in their lives, and they'll have a positive impact on them. So again, thank you, and I really appreciate the students, especially AGS and Dr. Gilbert. Dr. Gilbert should be up here. We should be celebrating him. He's one of our premier advisors in terms of clubs and organizations, and I really appreciate you and everything that you do. So again, thank you for tonight, and it's been great working with Daniel all this year. And when he says chaperone, it's not babysitting, it's chaperoning. So let's just make sure that's clear too. Thank you.
Our next honoree is Professor Dennis Judd. He cannot be with us tonight, so I'd like to invite Michelle Judd to the stage, who will be accepting on his behalf. Professor Judd teaches in the Cuesta College History Department and has been teaching at Cuesta for 26 years. In answer to the question, what has this instructor done that is above and beyond normal expectations, an AGS member wrote, Judd is so passionate about history. He wants you to succeed just as bad as you do and is happy to go above and beyond to make that possible. Professor Judd not only loves his job, but he loves the students. History is one of my favorite subjects because of him. In answer to the question, in what way has this instructor influenced your success as a student at Cuesta College, an AGS member wrote, in class he will say, a fellow Cuesta student who, then he will tell you they graduated from Berkeley, now a lawyer, and other student success stories that reassure you anything is possible down the road. He continues to be inspiring and positive throughout the semester towards any and everyone. Please join me in congratulating Professor Judd on his instructional excellence.
Well, I know we would all prefer that Dennis could be here himself to accept this honor. Dennis truly believes that it is great students that teach good teachers how to teach. And I know he is genuinely pleased and very honored to accept this, so thank you.
I would like to ask Professor Amity Perry-Boada to join me on the stage. Professor Perry-Boada has been teaching in the Business Education Department for 18 years. In answer to the question, what has this instructor done that is above and beyond normal expectations, an AGS member wrote, she has been a great deal of help to me in learning about business communications and the soft skills that I will need for my professional as well as personal life. She takes the time to give helpful feedback on my assignments that teach me even better ways of doing business. I am especially happy with her because she emailed us an opportunity for an internship position, which I answered, saying that I would like to take that opportunity. She then called the woman in charge of the internship position and let her know to expect a call from me. Mrs. Perry even left her cell phone number so that I could call and ask any questions I may have. I am happy and proud to say that I now have an internship position working for the City of San Luis Obispo Human Resources Department, all thanks to Mrs. Perry. Plus, she just has a great style of teaching that works. In answer to the question, in what way has this instructor influenced your success as a student at Cuesta College? The same AGS member wrote, she has influenced my success as a student by always taking the time to answer any questions promptly, in addition to all of her positive feedback on our assignments. Also, she is an online teacher that takes the time to meet us once a month to let us know of current changes in the business world, as well as to help us figure out what will work for us in terms of both our personal and professional lives. She is a very smart businesswoman who I really look up to. I have learned so much from her and the assignments that she's given. With every assignment, I get to really use my brain and learn even more. With all the positive feedback I've received, I feel good about doing my assignments and welcome her assessment. Please join me in congratulating Professor Perry-Boada on her instructional excellence. Hope I pronounced that right.
Oh, no, it was fine. I just want to thank Alpha Gamma Sigma and the business department and the student that thought of me for this nomination. I'm so blessed every day to be able to do something that I would do for free. I often tease my students and tell them I will take over lovingly your life if you let me. And so I just want to say that their successes are my successes. And thank you again for this award.
Our next nominee is Mrs. Jude Rock. She's unable to attend tonight, so Dean Pamela Ralston is going to accept the award for her. What has this instructor done that you consider above and beyond normal expectations? And one of our AGS members wrote, Jude Rock is an excellent teacher. I had her for English 201A in the summer class, and she did a phenomenal job teaching her students. First of all, you can tell that she has a real passion for research. She taught me research methods that I will never forget and be able to carry with me beyond just studying at Cuesta. Second, she was available to help her students with anything they needed beyond the class time. If I had a question, she would be sure to make sure that I knew the answer, and she even sat down with me one-on-one to go over stuff related to my research paper. Lastly, she is really great at facilitating class discussions about heated topics. Instead of just telling her opinion, she would facilitate the discussion so that the students would practice sharing their ideas. There are just a few of the things she did well. She is an example of how every teacher should be. In what way this instructor influenced your success at Cuesta, this AGS member wrote, English 201A was honestly one of those classes I wanted to put off because the idea of writing a 10-page research paper sounded intimidating. However, after this class, I feel like this is nothing now. So overall, this class not only built my confidence, but taught me valuable tools that have helped me in all of my other classes in general. Will you join me with celebrating Dr. Jude Rock's teaching excellence? It's been a long day.
I know that Jude's really disappointed she couldn't be here to take this award personally, and she's very honored by this. So thank you very much, and thanks to AGS and all the great work you've been doing.
I would like to ask Professor Mike Serpa to join me on stage. It's a long walk. Professor Serpa teaches in the Cuesta College Math Department and has done so for 3 years. In answer to the question, what has this instructor done that you consider above and beyond normal expectations, an AGS member wrote, "Throughout my years in school, math was never a subject that came easy to me. It was always so difficult, and I would barely pass my math classes in middle and high school. Lucky for me, I was placed in Math 127 because I was obviously not ready for anything higher than that. I waited until the second semester of my first year until I finally took the class, and I chose Mike Serpa's night class on Monday and Wednesdays. Night classes are never anything to look forward to, especially if it's math. However, Mr. Serpa's teaching style, dedication, and huge smile made going to night class bearable. He is so passionate about math, and it truly shows. For example, he showed up for every night class and used the whole 2 hours to teach us and made sure we finally understood. He allowed us to come in 30 minutes before class and stated that if we had any homework questions, he would love to help us. He is very professional, but also very easy to talk to. For the most part, he would just discuss math with us. However, he would mention his family or car at the beginning of class, and I always enjoyed the personal touch he would add. He got interviewed for the tenure position in the math department and surprisingly didn't get it. However, he maintained a positive attitude and told us he would try and try again. He was very inspiring, and after years of getting C's and D's in math, I was able to receive a B in his class. Mike Serpa's positive and encouraging attitude made me extremely confident in math. Mr. Serpa is a great example of a teacher who enjoys what he does, and he makes his students do the same. Please join me in congratulating Professor Serpa on his instructional excellence.
Well, I'm going to blush after that one. Thank you very much. Those are incredibly kind words. So thank you again. Really, I just want to take a moment to say how honored and how humbled I am to receive such an award. So thank you, Samantha. I definitely appreciate you thinking about me there, and I'm glad to have had an impact on your life. There's a lot of good professors out there, and I'm sure you're going to meet some that continue to have an impact on your life. And you've shared with me that you're going to become a teacher, so you'll just pass that on. So that's really neat stuff for sure. These kind of awards to me are the best kind because they come from the people like Samantha that we work so hard to make changes in their lives. It's a lot of work on a daily basis, always trying to improve what you do. I mean, that's the bottom line. We're always trying to improve what we do. And so it's just really neat to be acknowledged by a student, So I definitely am feeling this, and it's very much appreciated, probably more than you know. So I appreciate your efforts here. Just lastly, in closing, I want to say thank you to Cuesta College for giving me the opportunity to work with such wonderful students. Maria, so thank you very much for bringing me on board and allowing me to teach these neat students. I look forward to working with more over the years, and I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the 4th Annual Teacher Appreciation Night. I'd like to thank you all very much for attending this evening, and I'd like to especially thank those who helped to sponsor this event, including Ben Franklin's Sandwiches, Fatty's Pizza, the Cuesta College Foundation, the Cuesta College Jazz Musicians, the Associated Students of Cuesta College, and I think I see some of you guys out there in the crowd. Why don't you guys stand up? Have you got any officers here from ASCC? I know that there's one right here, but let's say, yeah, let's give those guys a hand too. I'd also like to thank Mary Ellen Bonsack, Anthony Gutierrez, Sharon Hill, Lauren Milborn, Sharon Piper, President Stork, and of course, I would be remiss if I didn't at least mention our AGS faculty advisor, Dr. Gilbert. He wouldn't let me nominate him for this event. But I definitely tried all the same. And in any case, he definitely deserves a round of applause for all that's been done here this evening. Thank you all very much. Good night.
Yes, you did good.